Please stand for the pledge, and we'll do a moment of silence. Roll call.
18 members present.
Next is we have approval of the January 12th, 2023 minutes. Is there a motion on the floor? Member Daly, Member Duncan. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, please vote.
That was fast. Okay. 18 ayes. Let me see if I can. Come on. There we go. Man. Okay.
Good to go.
I was trying to hurry and get it on the results on there, but I can't do it fast enough.
And for those that are in the audience, this is month 2 of us using a new voting system. So it's if there's a little bit of delay in between things, that's why there's a little bit of a delay. So next up is proclamations and presentations. Member Renault, we have first proclamation as a proclamation recognizing WEK 25 or WEK TV. We used to say 25 on its 70th anniversary. So we have some gentlemen here that I'm sure are very familiar faces, which we must have taken them away from the news tonight if they're here at 6 o'clock. So welcome and congratulations.
Hello. Hi. Welcome. Okay, so whereas Peoria County congratulates WEK TV, also known as 25 News Now, on the occasion of its 70th year on air. And whereas WEK became the first television station in Central Illinois on February 1st, 1953, originally on ultra high frequency, channel 43. It was part of West Central Broadcasting under CEO and U.S. Senator Robert S. Kerr. And whereas WEK has been able to extend their broadcast reach as far north as LaSalle County using full-time satellite repeaters as early as 1957, broadcast in color by 1964, and create other local programming outside of the newsroom, such as sporting events, spelling bees, and children's shows by the early 1970s, which I watched Captain Jinx every day. Whereas WK has continuously supported Peoria County residents in surrounding areas, both on and off screen, through public service efforts, such as partnering with community groups hosting annual telethons, the later which raised more than $150 million for St. Jude Children's Hospital for over 45 years. And whereas WEK today hosts over 50 hours of local news a week on multiple television channels, along with keeping the public informed through their dynamic website and well-followed social media presence. Now, therefore, I, James C. Dillon, Chairman of the Peoria County Board, on behalf of the County Board, do hereby recognize WEK Television on its 70th anniversary, dated this 9th day of February, AD 2023. James C. Dillon, Peoria County Board Chairman, and Rachel Parker, Peoria County Clerk.
Well, thank you very much. It's a great honor, and I can tell you of those 70 years, I have not been there all 70, but I've been there for half of them, and I'm often asked the question, what is it that makes WEK special? And I will tell you, it's the people, okay? We have a lot of people that come and go, young people that move up through the ranks, and we have some people who stick around, like Chuck and hopefully Tyler further. But I would just tell you, that's the magic. And so we are blessed to be able to serve this county. We're happy to be awarded tonight with this, or honored tonight with this. So thank you very, very much.
Chuck? Oh, okay. I feel right at home. Meteorologists, politicians, and lawyers have the most jokes poked at them than any other occupations I know, so I feel really at home. I grew up here. I've been in Peoria radio and TV 46 years. I've been at WEEK 13 years after being pulled away from WMBD after 23 years, and I had a 10-year radio career before that. So I appreciate very much you honoring us tonight, and got a few more years left, so I'm old, but still going at it, yeah.
Well, we really appreciate the proclamation, Mr. Dillon. Thank you so much. And as Pete said, the people are such a key, and a recent example of that is about 3 years ago, my current partner said, hey, what if we collected Valentine's Day cards and sent them out to all the people around in these long-term care centers? And I said, we could. Well, we did, and so we're going to start distributing those for the third year tomorrow. We have more than 5,500 cards. So it's really an honor for us to represent a community that has such a deep heart and continues to show that year after year in so many different ways, even with this new idea that we came up on. So it's an honor to be here to serve folks like you and your county and your city. And thank you for the proclamation. It's fun. Appreciate it.
Yes, thank you for all the work that you do.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Member Alcesser.
I just wanted to say I want you to stay here. As a farmer, in the middle of the summertime, you're always wondering whether it's going to rain or not rain. And this man right here is the best forecaster around. There's no doubt about it.
I appreciate that.
I mean, he is, and I've listened to him a lot of times, so thank you.
Checks in the mail.
Next up for proclamation is another familiar face, but a proclamation recognizing J.T. Fennell Corporation on its 75th anniversary. Member Rulin?
Jim, I hate to date you, but according to this, you've been around 5 years longer than TV. This is a special honor for me because I know these guys. I actually got to know Joe Fennell, J.T. Fennell, many, many years ago. By the way, Jim Fennell, his brother Jerry, or Sam if you happen to be from Chillicothe, and his son Ty Fennell. That's 3 generations. This is 4 generations. Sam's daughter, Ellen, is the CFO of the company now. When you hear politicians talking about job creators, it's not them. It's these guys they're talking about. This has been going on for 75 years. A lot of Chillicothe folks have made families, bought homes, put food on the table day after day, week after week, year after year because of these guys. So, whereas Peoria County congratulates J.T. Fennell Incorporated on the occasion of its 75th year in business manufacturing quality steel parts, and whereas Joe Fennell built his fabrication company from the ground up, learning first the trade while working at R.G. Letourneau, he would purchase excess machinery, and he created a side business assisting local farmers. And whereas in 1947 he took a leap of faith and purchased property in Chillicothe to begin his own business, which through his strong work ethic and commitment laid a foundation of success and true grit that remains in the Fennell family to this day. I can vouch for that. Whereas J.T. Fennell has a long history of success stories from working alongside customers such as Alice Chalmer, architect Tom Landis, the Glen Oak Zoo, Caterpillar, John Deere, and many, many more. Whereas J.T. Fennell has built and or has had their fabrications used in river tugboats, bridges, churches, water tankers, front axles, rear axles for combines, log loader frames, countless other items for companies big and small. And whereas Joe Fennell and his wife Betty, by the way, I did get to know Betty too. What an incredible family and an incredible woman. She raised 12 children, which have been an integral part of leading the company after Joe Fennell's retirement. Whereas Ty Fennell, the grandson of Joe and Betty, now continues to lead the family legacy and is leading the company through its next phase of growth. And whereas Peoria County honors the entire Fennell family for their commitment to staying and growing locally, with offices both in Chillicothe and Peoria, supporting a staff of 110 people. By the way, that family is 12 kids. Jim is one of 12. He's number 6. They always tell you what number they are when you mention there's 12. I'm 6. Now, therefore, I, James C. Dillon, chairperson of the Peoria County Board, on behalf of the County Board, do hereby recognize the family-owned J.T. Fennell Company on the occasion of its 75th anniversary. Thanks, Jim. Thank you, guys. All right, one for the camera.
Thank you, Mr. Dillon. Thank you for the board for giving us this honor. Talking about my dad and the leap of faith, I remember many times walking into the bedroom and seeing mom and dad on their knees saying their prayers, and that was his leap of faith. A little history on, we are 12 kids, and there were 4 boys in the business, and Dad, I don't know whether it was a remarkable way, but every 5 years he had another son. In between was a girl, but so there's 2 in between, Jerry and myself, another boy. But when I was 25 years old, I was working at Caterpillar, and my dad called, wanted to know if I would come to work for him. I just had a new son born, and so I came to work here. Fast forward another 25 years, my son was working in Indiana, and we needed him, but I think his mother needed that. He just had a grandson, or he just had a son. We needed that grandson closer, so he was 25, and he came back to work for us. Now, his son's 25, so I don't know what's going to happen next. But we truly, the 4 brothers and my dad, we got to work with Dad, and then we all worked together, and every 5 years now, somebody's retiring. Jerry's the last one of the 4 brothers to be retiring, so he's looking for the golf course and the green spots ahead. So, but like they said, Terry said, my son's got a CFO niece, my niece, his daughter, and Ty are going to be taking the reins and running it from here. So, Jerry, you got anything to say?
Sure.
You always have.
My father, when he talked about the business, it was much like the people that were before us. It was the people. And a statement he made to me once was, the most rewarding aspect of the business has always been the people. And he went on to say, the most frustrating aspect of running the business is the people. And it's so true. I've come to realize that when you're managing people, you get the highs and the lows, and it can be a roller coaster. But yeah, the company was built by a strong family with family ethic, and there's probably 12 people within the company that are 30 years plus with us as well. And so we've got 3 young engineers, 2 of which graduated from Northwestern University, 1 graduated from Bradley, and 2 of those engineers are sons of 40-year men. So it's not like it's just the Fennell family, but we do have a company that's really a family-oriented in their ethic. And I'm going to pass it on to a family member, Ty Fennell.
Thanks, Jerry. Kind of what those guys said. Really, it's simple in the fact that you show up every day, you put in a good day's work, and have a little bit of fun. So if you can do those things, you could be around for 75 years, 75 more. It's really about these guys and the people before have shown the work ethic. And I say it's simple, but it's not easy to have everyone do that. So really, it's about showing up every day and getting the job done. And that's what we've done as a family. We know no other way to do it, and we just we enjoy doing what we do, and looking forward to many, many more years. Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.
Mr. Chairman? Mr. Chairman? Excuse me.
It's hard to see the photo, and you might want to walk around.
Mr. Chairman, if I could add one more thing, I don't want to drag this out longer than it needs, but I can't be outdone by the Fennels when it comes to talking. There's more than just a business here. Sam, or Jerry Fennel, was instrumental. You guys all know that Chillicothe's about famous for Pierce Community Center. He was the driver. He's the guy that made that place happen. There was a lot of hands in the pot, but he was the energy behind that. Jim Fennel, church board, bank board, school board, county board. Same thing is true with Ty, Pierce board, among other things. Fire department. They don't just take from this community, they give back way more than they take. And like I said, there's 12 of them, and that 12 has multiplied. They are all cut from that same cloth. They've given so much to the community, to the county. Thank you, guys. Thank you and your family.
You want me to read the last one? Okay.
Next up is a proclamation recognizing the Country Club of Peoria on its 125th anniversary. Member Phelan?
When I think of Peoria Country Club, I think of all the amenities that are offered there, and being born and raised in the Heights, I've taken full advantage of those many times. And one thing I think about is the hospitality, and it doesn't matter from what walk of life you come, you guys do it best. And so it brings me a lot of joy to be able to give you this proclamation tonight. Whereas Peoria County wishes to recognize the Country Club of Peoria on the occasion of its 125th anniversary, and whereas the Country Club of Peoria was established in 1897 to encourage athletic exercises, recreation, and social enjoyment, the club has expanded its mission since that time to focus on superior family and business-friendly environments for social, dining, and athletic activities through unparalleled service, staff, and facilities. And whereas located along the world's most beautiful drive in Peoria Heights, the Country Club of Peoria brought an important first to our community in 1915, the area's first 9-hole golf course. The building of a swimming pool followed in 1930, also a rarity for that time. And whereas the Country Club of Peoria's golf course, since expanded to a beautiful 18-hole along the bluff, remains a gem in the community. It once hosted the Western Open in 1934, was the home of the PGA professional Gus Moreland, and was recently redesigned in 2007 by the award-winning golf course architect Michael Benkuski. And whereas the golf course annually hosts more than 15 outside organizations for fundraising events, the most recent season having helped raise $1.7 million for local charities, and whereas the club's offerings have evolved over its 125-year history, but whether it's the cuisine, golf, tennis, swimming, fitness, or social events, the Country Club of Peoria prides itself on offering a superior service. And whereas the Country Club of Peoria is proud of its staff members, their loyalty to the organization, and their commitment to giving members and guests the best possible experience. Now, therefore, I, James C. Dillon, Chairperson of the Peoria County Board, on behalf of the County Board, do hereby recognize the Country Club of Peoria on the occasion of its 125th anniversary. Dated this 9th day of February AD 2023, signed James C. Dillon, Peoria County Board Chairperson, Rachel Parker, Peoria County Clerk.
He handed it to me because he was like, okay, you start. My name is Chris Rice, and I serve in the role as general manager of the Country Club of Peoria. I've been there for 5.5 years. And generally what I tell about the Country Club of Peoria is while we sit on that little corner of the earth, we've been there for 125 years, and we've been part of this community for 125 years. And I would say that's probably what we're the most proud of. That building is 100 years old that sits out there. It's got a lot of history to it. But the biggest part is that we have just been a part of this community for 125 years. So I'd like to thank the board here for allowing this and this great honor. And on behalf of the membership, thank you.
My name is Greg Miller. I'm actually the vice president of the board. And as I sat there and listened to it, I finished up a term recently there as treasurer, and we had to fight tooth and nail through COVID. You know, we were shut down like every place else, but over the last 3 years, one of the biggest internal arguments was about whether we were going to replace a 3-meter or 10-foot high dive board at the pool. And you had members that, you know, this was part of their livelihood. They'd gone there as kids. They remember that 10-foot high dive. So when we had to take it down for structural reasons 3 years ago, there was a lot of infighting. When you step back here and realize that that pool was built in 1930, I think maybe we made the right decision to go ahead and put that board up. It was a lot more costly to put it up, I'm sure, in 2022 than it was in 1930 when the pool was built. But insurance regulations had a lot to do with that, and that's life, folks. So, but anyway, thank you very much on behalf of the board and the staff of the Country Club of Peoria. We're proud to have been here for 125 years for the community as well. So thank you.
Next, we'd be at citizens' remarks.
We have 5 citizen remarks. Night of Familiar Faces, another familiar face. Kate Pastusha from the Springdale Historic Preservation Foundation. These past members just can't stay away.
Hello, good evening. So just for those of you, I think I've tried to meet everyone around this. It's nice to see you all back in your horseshoe. My name is Kate Pastusha. I live in Peoria, near Peoria Heights. Previously District 9 County Board member. And tonight I am here to talk to you about Springdale Cemetery, and specifically the Springdale Historic Preservation Foundation. Part of what I want to talk about tonight is kind of a little bit of the history that, especially because we have a lot of new members, you may not know about the IGA agreement, and then a little bit of difference between the Springdale Cemetery Management Authority versus the foundation. So just to give you a brief history on the cemetery itself, it was established in 1854. It has a number of important historical residents. I believe the cemetery is about 265 acres if you've never been there. I encourage you to go and drive through, park, take a walk. It's gorgeous. It's a very park-like setting, and a lot of people use it as a park. It has names that you may recognize, such as Lydia Moss Bradley. It has, Laterno was mentioned. It may have some names that you may not be as familiar with, such as Octave Chanute, which is the father of aviation, and among many, many others. In the 1990s, the cemetery went into disrepair. That's when I remember going there when I was in high school. We used to run through there in cross country. The weeds were all grown up, and it was not being taken care of. The private owners of the cemetery at that time started selling off assets, most notably the Civil War cannons that are part of Soldiers Hill. 3 of those cannons were able to be found and purchased back with the help of the foundation, which was established sometime, I can't remember the exact date, but in the 90s. Around the year 2000, the state seized the cemetery from the previous owners because they were embezzling funds and selling off assets. In 2002, the city of Peoria decided that they would become the property owner of Springdale Cemetery, and but they also wanted help from the county and the park district and continued support from the foundation. So that was the first version of the IGA, the intergovernmental agreement. Most of the funding comes from the city of Peoria, which means taxpayers. Some of the funding comes from the county board, approved by all of you. And then some of the funding also comes from the park district. The foundation also supports, our entire mission is to support the cemetery. And so we are a part of the IGA as well. In 2022, last year, the IGA was renewed after its initial 20-year period, and now the IGA is renewable every 10 years. So that is continued support from the city, the county, and the park district, and the foundation. And that IGA establishes the SCMA board, which is the Springdale Cemetery Management Authority. It is a public body. It's made of 5 representatives appointed from the city, 2 representatives appointed from the county. I am one of those individuals. And then 2 individuals from the park district and 1 individual from the foundation. Did I get that right? One park, sorry, it changed in between the last iteration and the current iteration. Thank you. So first of all, I want to say thank you to the county for your continued support. That is going to go through at least another 10 years from now. And then the Springdale Historic Preservation Foundation, however, is a private board. It is a 501c3, and we rely on donations and membership funds coming our way. We are a 15-member board, all volunteer. We have no paid employees. And so part of why I'm here tonight is, 1, to bring awareness and to say thank you about the cemetery. And then also I have placed in front of your seats, the top is a postcard, and the envelope, there is our 2023 annual membership request. Please support the foundation. All of the money that can come into the foundation will eventually, hopefully in the long run, get the taxpayer funding of the cemetery, hopefully no longer necessary. So thank you very much, and it's nice to see you all. Almost made it.
Thank you, Kate. Next up is Tracy Fox, representing the Sierra Club Central Illinois Healthy Community Alliance, about the Wolf ADM CO2 pipeline. Welcome, Tracy.
Hi, my name's Tracy Fox, and I'm happy to be here today. It's been a long time since I've spoken to County Board. I think Rob Bruneau was the new member the last time I was here. I'm here to talk about the 280-mile high-pressure CO2 pipeline that's going to come through 10 counties in Illinois, including Peoria County. It's slated to come through the southwest swath of the county and carry the CO2 from industrial plants in Iowa and other places in Illinois down to Decatur to be sequestered in some kind of rock formation there. The thing that concerns me about it is that there are a variety of issues that concern me. There are agricultural issues, including they're setting themselves up for eminent domain by trying to get it declared a public good so that they'll be able to take land in rural areas. and it has multi-season impacts to farming. The disturbance, the backfill, and the combustion have reduced yields by 25% in bean fields, 15% in cornfields, according to a recent Iowa State study. And there's risk all along the pipeline. CO2 is odorless, it's colorless, and it accumulates low to the ground. And it can asphyxiate anything within a mile when the pipeline has a leak or an explosion. And during this time, we're really handicapped with environmental or emergency services because internal combustion engines in cars and emergency vehicles do not run at high concentrations of CO2. In February of 2020, Sarsia, Mississippi, 200 people were evacuated when there was a pipeline explosion and 49 were hospitalized. If emergency workers had been just a little bit later getting on the scene, there would have been deaths. I'm also concerned because there's very little oversight with this type of pipeline. The CO2 is at much higher pressure than natural gas or oil running through pipelines today, and it's more explosive. And it's also, this combination of things makes the pipeline subject to running ductile fractures, which mean long splits along the pipeline so that the explosions and the leaks are bigger and more dangerous. And right now, there aren't good regulations in place for any of that. The Pipeline Safety Bureau of the Department of Transportation is just getting started on regulations. Right now, they're just told, do the best you can and try to follow the oil pipeline guidelines. That doesn't sound very safe to me. And all of this is really just to prop up a failed experiment in Decatur. For 5 years, we've been shoveling money at the Decatur ADM plant. It was designed to be sequestering 1 million tons of CO2 a year. Instead, it's only been able to sequester 503,000 tons in the most recent year. And it's not for a lack of CO2, because that figure is only 11.4% of Decatur's CO2 output. I believe personally a lot of this is being driven by a federal tax credit that's coming out. And it's making these companies anxious to get things going before they're subject to stricter pipeline regulations and while this federal money is available. And for the environmentalist in me, that's enough. To continue to prop up fossil fuels with a risky CO2 sequestration bet isn't the right move for Peoria County. But as someone who has worked on environmental justice issues in Peoria County, I think it should be of special interest to you because we're not just slated to get a pipeline through rural southwestern Peoria County. We're slated to get a pipeline with a spur that goes right up to the Biourgia plant at the foot of Edmund Street, right on the heart of the south side. This is the same plant that burned for 6 days in last summer. That the city spent $100,000 trying to put the fire out. That no air monitoring report has ever been available to the public. That concerns me. I know this plant from when it was owned by ADM, and they've been a long-term polluter. In 2008, they popped up as the biggest emitter of acrolein in the nation. And when I talked to the US EPA, they said, well, that's a hazardous air pollutant. We don't exactly set limits on that. We just ask them to use the best available control technology. Since then, there have been violations of their air permit. There have been many quarters where no data is reported whatsoever. And I know from my experience with the Edwards coal plant that those are signs of trouble. When we did forensic analysis on that plant, we found that a lot of those gaps correlated to over 10,000 violations. To me, I think that they are a long-term polluter. They're also responsible for the stench that hangs over the south side anytime the temperature is above 75 degrees and that plant is running full steam. I think it's incumbent on this county not to do anything to further the life of that plant. And if this pipeline is going to help them, that's yet another important reason to oppose this. Okay, I'm about done. Yeah, what am I asking you to do today? Please educate yourself. My colleague Joyce Blumenshine sent you some materials. We'll be speaking publicly with the NAACP meeting, with Southsiders, Community for United for Change. we will be asking you to do a moratorium until we can study the issue. We hope that any zoning changes that you make will be protective of Peoria citizens, both rural and urban. And finally, we hope that this county will start to look in conjunction with the city as to whether or not they'd be willing to intervene at the ICC and put a stop to this. Thanks.
Thanks, Tracy. Next up, we have Teresa Heath. Did I get, yep, about the Airbnb. Did I get the right name? What? Okay. So for the next three, they're all in regards to the Airbnb. Again, just we have to remind the board that they all testified at their, anything that was, we can only take into consideration what was given at the fact-finding board. So anything outside of that cannot be taken as testimony. And all three that have signed letters to address the board did address the ZBA. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Teresa, and I'm speaking on behalf of my mother, Lydia Iruli. I'm talking about the Airbnb that he just mentioned. So it says in the paperwork here that it's no more than 5 rooms or suites to be rented out at one time. That's fine, but per the Airbnb restrictions, if you look it up online, you can have 20 people in a 5-bedroom house. Now this house is out in the country, it's surrounded by timbers, it's surrounded by cornfields. What's gonna say somebody's out there and they have a bonfire? You get 20 people, big bonfire, they're not responsible, they're having fun, they're having drinks. It goes off, there's a fire, everything's destroyed. To get the fire in there, to put fires out is impossible. Another problem they have out there is, we're in a drought. So we all share the same water area. Well, out there, the house that they're looking at buying, the septic system is 45 years old. And I know that septic system was not set up to hold 20 people at any given time. If that septic system fails, then the water gets contaminated. And then it hurts us all. And they say that they want to do this to make it so there's a place for people to go and relax, enjoy wildlife. Go to Wildlife Prairie Park. They're set up for that. They have the little cabins that are nestled in the woods. You can see the animals and the wildlife. There's really just no reason to have this out there amongst the farmland and the timbers and the other homesteads. And they said you can't see this house from the other properties. You can. I was just out there last week. The winter and the fall, you can see it plain as day. It's not like they're going to be nestled back there quietly. 20 people trespassing on everybody's property, hunting. I was out there with my son, and somebody was shooting a gun in the air, yelling at us to get off my mother's property. Well, we left. I mean, I'm not going to argue with somebody with a gun. So that's just one of the problems. Any questions? Thank you.
Next is Mark Walton with Miller Hall and Triggs on behalf of Doug Huff.
Thank you. I'll be brief. My name is Mark Walton. I'm an attorney here in town at Miller Hall and Triggs. I represent Doug Huff, who's going to speak after me. Just wanted to raise a couple of points that I think are important to keep in mind as you consider this issue. First, the county board has already adopted an ordinance that found that it is appropriate to have overnight rentals, which is what this is. We call them Airbnbs or short-term rentals. Overnight accommodations, I think is the term used, in the A2 district, which is where this property is located. So you're not determining whether or not it's appropriate to actually have this use. It's really confined to, is this location appropriate? There were several issues raised. We went through the special use hearing in front of the ZBA, and then the land use committee considered it as well. And through that process, I think both bodies, the ZBA and the land use committee, addressed every reasonable concern that was raised about this use with restrictions. And you'll hear when the item is called all the restrictions that are being put in place. No ATVs, no hunting, no firearms. Those are just a few that pop into my mind. With those restrictions, all of which Mr. Huff approved and agreed to, I think that any reasonable objection to this use has been addressed. If with those restrictions, if this is not a suitable spot for overnight rentals or overnight accommodations, then I don't think there are any appropriate spots in the county. And that's a determination this board has already made. So I thank you for your time. Mr. Huff will be next.
Thank you, Mr. Walton. Doug Huff, speaking on the ZBA case.
Mr. Chair, ladies and gentlemen of the board, thank you very much for your time this evening. As mentioned, my name is Doug Huff. I'm here for the short-term rental special use request. As Mark Walton mentioned, this has been presented to the ZBA and reviewed with various different comments. We've adjusted it. At that time, had a couple of restrictions added. At the Land Use Committee, there were a couple of restrictions added. You'll find out about those as well. Both of those committees approved moving this forward to the full board here this evening. We are looking to introduce a short-term rental property that's going to be an amazing nature opportunity to have folks come to retreat out in the country on 75 acres, a lot of land. It's going to have opportunity for folks to come and enjoy fishing, paddleboarding, kayaking on a stocked pond with very large bluegill. Guests will enjoy the nature trails throughout the property with plenty of wildlife to enjoy, wild turkeys strutting, bald eagles soaring, white-tailed deer grazing over a food plot and enjoying the nature and quiet away from the hustle and bustle of the city. We're planning to provide a 5-star experience to our guests and plan to bring many folks into our area of the state to enjoy the greater Peoria and Chillicothe area. We would like you to accept the zoning board and the land use committee's recommendations to move forward, and please accept our request this evening. Thank you very much for your consideration.
Thank you.
Next, we'd be at consent agenda.
Is there anything that needs to be removed, or I'll be looking for a motion? Ms. Williams?
C3.
C3. Is there anything else that would need to be removed? I need a motion. Member Daly, Member Blair. Ready to vote on that? So please vote on the consent agenda minus C3. It's voting.
Member Alcester and Member Salzer, are you able to?
I can't vote. My email and on board is not working, and it hasn't been working. My email hasn't worked for 8 months, and they've worked on it several times, and so I'll have to voice vote. I vote yes.
Are all of you able to pull up the view, because I'm not showing any votes coming through? There they go. Okay, they're coming through. I had to refresh. Member Alcester, you said yes? And Member Salzer? It did come through, thank you. Member Hare? Does reload the same as refresh on? I mean, I've never seen that before. Okay. Brian. Nathan. That would be 18 ayes. And with this new system, when an item is pulled, we do have to do a voice vote. For item C3, it will be a voice vote.
Is there a motion to put C3 on the floor? Member Alsasser? Member Member Phelan, Member Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As always, every year, I vote no on this because of the threshold for prevailing wage.
Any other questions or comments? Member Blair.
Urban Enterprise Zone.
Urban Enterprise Zone.
It's C3 on the consent agenda. Do you need me to read it? So that
it looks like this on here, where it's, if you're looking at it on here, A, B, C. So it's different than what the agenda is what they're saying. Yeah. So it doesn't pop up as C3 on there, like it does on here. So you have letters instead of the C's.
Okay. Just to be clear, I'm going to go ahead and read it so that everyone knows what item that you're voting on. C3 is a recommendation from your executive committee recommending authorizing execution of amendment number 8 to the Peoria Urban Enterprise Zone designating ordinance and corresponding amendment number 8 to the Peoria Urban Enterprise Zone intergovernmental agreement.
Which those will eventually be more correlating, so good catch on the letters versus the C's.
Right. We'll make a note of that in next meeting. When Jan and I get together on this, we'll get those matching.
Any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor?
No,
Well, we're going to have to say, you're going to have to roll call.
Right.
Roll call.
Member Blair? Aye. Member Bryant? Member Coates? Member Daly? Member Dillon?
Aye.
Member Duncan? Member Alsasser?
Aye.
Member Gross Allison?
Aye.
Member Hare? Member Kelch? Member Phelan? Member Renault? Member Ricker? Member Rosenbaum? Member Rulin? Member Member Salzer?
Aye.
Member Williams? And Member Windisch? 17 ayes, 1 nay. I'm using one mouse for both. Next, we'd be at zoning ordinances and resolutions. Item number 1 is case ZBA 2023-0004, a petition of Doug Huff, a special use request from section 20-5.2.2.2.f, which allows for overnight accommodations, provided that they meet the requirements set forth in section 7.8, and provided that no more than 5 rooms or suites of rooms are rented, and rooms are not rented for a period of more than 14 days. The petitioner proposes to provide overnight accommodations on a short-term basis in the A2 Agricultural Zoning District. The parcel is located in Hollick Township. The Zoning Board of Appeals recommends approval with restrictions. The Land Use Committee concurs.
Is there a motion to put this on the floor? Member Rosenbaum, Member Daly. Member Rosenbaum.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We had a special meeting beforehand, and we had one more restriction to add on to the group. Everybody that could vote, Member Rulin had to abstain, but the rest of us voted unanimously to add restriction number 9 onto this. Everybody's got a copy of this on their table, so if there's any questions, I'd be willing to answer them.
Is there any questions in regards to this? Member Ricker.
I guess maybe, I don't sit on the committee, but
for clarification, we've approved other short-term rental accommodations. I don't remember this type of restriction, so is this an adjustment we as a county plan to add for future, or is it a one-off, or just kind of help, where does this fit?
Right now, this is for this one, but this is one of them that we'll probably be talking to add on to future restrictions for all of them that come up for this if it passes again.
I guess as a follow-up, do we plan to do inspections ongoing, or is it inspection that we would do to grant the special zoning, and then once it's granted, it's done?
This will be before they give the certificate of occupancy. We'll do this inspection, and then it'll be complaint driven after that. We get as what the zoning board does normally, that they're complaint driven. If they get a complaint about it, then they'll go out and inspect it. But other than that, it'd just be the one time. That's what the city's doing, so forth. We're trying to be the same as what everybody else is.
Member Alsasser.
Well, I do represent this area, and there's a large group of my constituents that are here tonight. Would it be okay if I had them stand up? Because they all could have spoken and taken another half an hour, but I did want to recognize that they were here, and a lot of these people and others came to the ZBA and the land use meeting, and their concerns are this. You know, a lot of them, some are much younger, but some have lived there 10 years, 20, 40, even up to 80 years, and that's a long time. So their lives have been pretty private and pretty predictable, and this is unpredictable for them, is the best way to put it. And I do appreciate all the restrictions. I really do appreciate Mr. Rulin's work on this last restriction. I think it's a very positive step, and not only for this Airbnb, but for the other ones that are in place and the other ones that will come in the future. But enforcing the restrictions is the problem. We don't have enough police officers, and you know, hunting the people with the Department of what are the hunters, what is it? Conservation resource officers and people like this to enforce everything. So, you know, I feel like I need to represent these people tonight, and I will be voting no because of that. But they're just very concerned because this is something so new, and they've been there their whole life, and now this has come up. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Seeing none, please vote.
Member Alsasser?
Nay.
And Member
Member
Rulon
Bryant?
will abstain, right?
Let me refresh. Okay, let's see if he can do that on his iPad. Member Bryant? Okay. There he goes. Member Alsasser said no. Member Hare, were you able to hit the view approval? Okay. Thank you, sir. Yeah, he abstained. Okay, looks like we got everyone. One. Yeah, it's not registering. Let me try it again. Member Hare, it's not registering on my system. Were you a yes vote? Okay. So that would be 16 ayes, 1 abstention, and 1 nay.
It was 16 ayes, 1 abstention,
And-
and 1 nay.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Next is item number 2. A resolution from your Finance, Audit, and Legislative Affairs Committee recommending approval of an appropriation of $1,927,853 in revenues and $2,894,418 in expenditures into FY 2022 budget, and an appropriation of $6,337,039 in revenues and $7,813,342 in expenditures into FY 2023 budget.
Member Williams? Is there a second? Member Rosenbaum? And this will require a 2/3 vote. Any questions? Please cast your vote. Technology's wonderful until it doesn't work.
Let me put in this. Okay, let's see who we got. Brian Elsesser and Nathan Harrigan. Okay. Member Elsesser? Okay. Okay.
I don't need a vote.
Member Elsesser, how are you voting? Aye. And Member Hare, it's still not registering, so if you don't mind, a voice vote. See, that's an issue too. Okay. How would you like to vote, Member Hare? Yes. Eighteen ayes. Okay. Item number 3, a resolution from your Finance, Audit, and Legislative Affairs Committee recommending approval of revisions to the County Board's financial policies.
Member Williams? Member Couch? Is there any questions, comments?
Was everybody here to kind of hear the explanation, or should we have Julie or Heather give just a brief report on what this is? Because it has to do with the switching of the software. So, yeah, would that be okay? If we let them just give a brief explanation, okay?
Mr. Smiley face.
Yep, okay,
Gotta
thank
make
you.
her work.
Yeah.
Okay, hopefully I can remember. The policy that's in front of you today is to amend the financial policies and allow what was already approved in the budget and also approved internally through the purchase order policy. If there's a PO that was appropriate or done in FY22 or any of the preceding years with the new financial software, when we roll over, when we have to close the new fiscal year, it'll automatically roll over. So what the board's policy is with this request will be that in order to have business continuity, any of those already approved and budgeted POs will roll over per Scott's approval or any county administrator, and then we'll report to the board. So it's a change in policy. Before we used to do it after the fact, after everything was rolled over, and then ask for appropriations. This will give the approval ahead of time to do that, and we'll just report out. Any questions?
Seeing none, thank you. Any further questions? Seeing none, please vote.
Member Alsasser, how would you like? Aye. That time. 18 ayes. Item number 4, a resolution from your county health committee recommending the creation and appointment of a county board representative for the Health and Human Services Campus project.
Member Daley? Member Renault? Questions, comments? Maybe have Rob give a little bit of explanation of what the board's envisioning, and a quick thank you to Member Rulin for agreeing to serve in this role.
Absolutely, thank you. So it was brought up by a couple different board members that there was an appetite to have some board eyes on the project and on the design team. So we thought best to utilize some of the strengths that we have around the board. And Mr. Rulin does have a background in construction, and he's agreed to fulfill this task for us. So we appreciate the input and advice that he's going to bring to this project.
Any questions or comments for Rob? Member Rosenbaum.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just would like to thank Mr. Rulin for stepping up to this position. Hopefully we'll all vote it in. That, as he said, I think that's a great idea that we have eyes and ears on this. So once again, thank you, and thank you for the board for going along with this.
And a big thank you to Member Renault. I know he's been reaching out and trying to listen to everybody's concerns and alleviate any concerns that they have, which takes time to listen, and to Member Rulin for agreeing in this role. So thank you to all members that have been working on this. And Member Daley, thank you too. Any other questions? Seeing none, please vote.
Yes, just Linda. Mm-hmm. Member Daley, were you able to hit the view approval? Yes, okay. Member Alsasser, how would... Refresh it one more time and see. Member Daley, how would you like to vote? It's not showing on my end. Yes, thank you. That would be 18 ayes. Item number 5, a resolution from your Rules Committee recommending adoption of the 2023 to 2024 Peoria County Board Rules of Order.
Member Williams, Member Alsasser. Member Williams.
This year it was great. We had a great committee. Appreciate the input of Linda, Steve, Phil, Jimmy. We all worked pretty hard on this, made some minor changes. I don't think there were too many out there changes, but I just appreciate all the input from everyone and all the work they put in on this.
Any other questions? Seeing none, please vote.
Member Alsasser? Got him. 18 ayes. Item number 6 is suspension of rules.
Is there a motion? Member Salzer, Member Duncan.
The item after this one is the disaster proclamation. That did not come up through committee because of the timing of that coming from the state. We don't have an opportunity to take it through committee, so you first vote to suspend your rules to take this matter up, even though it didn't come through committee.
I have it right here, so you must have it. You should have it. No?
It's on for the proclamation, but not on the suspension.
Okay. All right, hold on just a minute then. Okay. Suspension of rules. Let me go in, maybe it's the lengthy action. Okay, now see if you have that. Let me refresh it. No? Okay, because
Other ones have whatever that paper is next to it. That doesn't have that paper thing next to it.
Well, That has some, it has attachments. That's what that is. Yeah, but suspension of rules, I have that I said it.
See if you can do that where last time when you did it, it sent us all like
Yeah, a notice.
a notice.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I see why. It's not open. Okay, that's why.
If everyone would probably refresh, it should be there now.
Okay, hold on.
All right, it should be on there now.
Okay, good. I had to open it twice. Understand. Member Alcesser?
What are we doing?
Okay, so we have some no's. Let's see. Member Renault. Yeah, there's a lot, so let's. Hmm. Member Williams, were you able? Okay, let me. It shows all the members are voters. I'll refresh it. There we go. If you wouldn't mind just refreshing it one more time, Member Rulin, Salzer, and that should not be on there. Mm-hmm. We got Brian, just Terry and disappointed. Member Alcesser said yes. Okay, for some reason I'm still not registering Member Rulin and Member Salzer, so I'm going to go ahead and take your voice vote. Member Rulin
Yes.
and Member Salzer.
Yes. I did it. It came up.
That's no. Let's make sure. Assessor, yes. 17 ayes, 1 nay, with Member Wendish voting nay. Next would be at item number 7, a proclamation extending the declaration of emergency due to COVID-19 in Peoria County, Illinois.
Is there a motion to approve? Member Blair, Member Renault, and then I was going to have Administrator Sorrell give an update to the end of this.
Again, this is a disaster declaration that ties back to COVID-13. After this month, we will only do this 2 more times, as has been reported in widely reported in the media. The president will end the federal declaration effective May 11th. The governor is ending the statewide declaration on May 11th. This body meets on Thursday, May 11th. So your April board meeting will be the last time you see this on the agenda. What this does, as we've said before, is if there is any additional federal money or state money to be obtained for reimbursement of expenses incurred related to the response, then we need to have a disaster declaration in place to be eligible for reimbursement. This one has been repeated monthly for the better part of 3 years, but we also do this whenever there's a flood or a tornado or other type of natural disaster.
So that will mean, for most of us around here, no more calling into the county board meetings if after April.
Correct, Mr. Chairman. So pursuant to the Open Meetings Act and the rules that you approved earlier in the meeting, remote participation will still be permitted for committee meetings, but county board meetings will require members to be present in the room, starting with the May board meeting.
Any questions? Seeing none, please vote.
Member Elsesser? Okay, that's better now. 15 ayes, 3 nays, with members Elsesser, Rosenbaum, and Windisch voting nay.
Lastly, we're to miscellaneous and announcements. Start on this side of the room tonight.
First of all, I don't know if you noticed this, but since Bradley just about lost to ISU here 2 or 3 weeks ago and won in overtime at home, they have really went on a roll. And so we went to see him play one time against Southern Illinois, and we're going again next Saturday. So go Red, go Braves.
I haven't gone to a game this year, but I'm with you on that. However, I'm not convinced that I'm real good at this because I'm missing another aspect of the meeting, and that is I'm watching this thing too much and not listening to the great comments that the other county board members have to make on the floor here. And when this thing goes dark, and it goes dark too often, I know I got problems. I'm just not convinced it's the best thing for me.
As soon as I get mine fixed, I'm going to go over to his house, and he's going to give me a lesson on it.
Like I said, come the second Tuesday next week.
Well, I just want to compliment Phil on what a good job he's doing on it and the attitude he has, because the rest of us are having trouble and he's keeping right up with us. So if Phil can do it, and I just found out he's 83, I thought he was only 78. And if 83-year-old can do it, there's no reason none of us can do it. Thank you.
And I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, but may I intersect? If I could make the request to IT, I would ask them to please check each and every one of your iPads before the next meeting to make sure that everything is updated, that you are able to get into your emails, because it would make this a lot smoother. And if you have the time to check in with them, it would be so much appreciated, because I'm trying to make it easier for both you and for myself, as well as all the viewers that are watching. I know that sometimes it's a chore to get in when you can, but if you are having issues, please get with IT, and I'm going to check with IT to make sure that they have whatever it is they need to make sure that everyone's iPad is operating properly.
I just would like to remind my fellow board members that we have an evaluation that's due by next Friday, so if you would please, I know for the new 5, if you have questions, hopefully you got your emails about the evaluation for our administrators' review. Since you weren't here in 2022, I've asked you at least to look at the score and what we evaluate, or the questions and the metrics. And if you have questions, please call Eden or me. Thank you.
Member Allison.
I just wanted to say congratulations to the staff at PCAPS and Becky Spencer for the $50,000 award to Spay and Neuter. They've worked really hard, so congratulations.
Just related to Scott's evaluation, I'll be facilitating that conversation at the February 27th, 28th, whatever,
28th.
meeting. So if you have anything that you would like me to address or make sure that we discuss, let me know.
I
just have a gentle inquiry. Do we still have the things that we voted on? I mean, we didn't throw them away, right?
Oh,
Yeah. The clickers. Did we throw those away? No one will answer my question. Did we throw them? It was a gentle inquiry.
It was tied to a system that we no longer have because I don't want to say it sunsetted, but the company transitioned into another company. We did not buy into that, and that's when we got this new system.
Okay. I want mine.
Member Bryant. Duncan. Camille. Hey, Danny. Member Rule.
I would like to congratulate Recorder Parker on the substantial progress with onboard since the January meeting. It's substantial. We're getting there.
And then lastly, I just wanted to thank Sheriff Watkins and Chief Middlemiss and Mattel for always attending the meetings. It's duly noticed that you're here and appreciate it with everything that you got going on, and keep up the good work. And thank you, Rachel. I know this hasn't been easy to implement anything new, so appreciate your time and effort. Member for Administrator Sorrell.
Just one quick thing before you adjourn, Mr. Chairman. Also, IT related and related to your iPads, regarding the fact that Member Phelan, I think, was acting as Member Coates last month, and this month it was Member Hare. That ties back to when we first bought the iPads and the app called Goodreader, which we use for our committee meetings. When we initially entered that way of delivery, those subscriptions were incredibly expensive. And so from a cost-saving measure, we actually only bought one license that all of you shared. Now it's like $1 or $2. And so by next month's county board meeting, you will all have your own identity and your own version of that. So by next month, nobody will be able to be Member Coates except Member Coates.
All right, seeing Nothing else? Meeting adjourned.